When the transmission finally reached the Interstellar Council's secure archive, the analysts assumed it was a hoax. The voice on the recording was unmistakably Vra'thuun, High Commander of the Keth Dominion, arguably the most feared military leader in 3 quadrants. Yet the message he delivered was so improbable that even the machines tasked with verifying its authenticity hesitated. We faced the humans. They were only a few, but we could not stop them. The analysts exchanged disbelief. How could one of the most formidable and disciplined empires in known space fail to defeat a species so small in number and so technologically immature? Humanity had barely joined the cosmic stage. Their ships were crude. Their biology was unimpressive. Their weapons, by Keth standards, were primitive artifacts. But Commander Vra'thuun was not prone to hyperbole. Something had happened. Something worthy of fear. And the message was only the beginning. The first sighting, Lieutenant Mara Ellin, had no business being the first human to encounter the Keth Dominion. Her assignment was routine: chart a region of unclaimed space near the Perseus Gap, deploy a string of observational beacons, and return home. Her scientific vessel, the EOS, wasn't built for combat. It barely carried enough firepower to discourage micrometeorites. But fate doesn't ask permission. The Keth dreadnought emerged from a hyperspace rupture like a shark breaching from the depths. Its hull bristled with weapons that could vaporize a continent. Its shadow spanned kilometers. Mara froze. Her crew scrambled for options: diplomacy protocols, evasion patterns, distress signals, but all were meaningless before a power like the Keth. The dreadnought hailed them. The image of Commander Vra'thuun filled the screen, tall, armored, with skin patterned in ridged volcanic texture. His eyes glowed a deep, ember-like orange. "You are humans," he stated flatly. "A minor species." Mara swallowed hard. "Yes, we intend no. You will surrender. Your vessel is now property of the Dominion." There was no malice in his tone. Just inevitability. The dreadnought's gravity weapon seized the EOS, crumpling its hull like an aluminum can. Mara's crew screamed as systems failed and consoles exploded. She remembered the flash of light, the bitter taste of ozone, and the sensation of falling. Then blackness, second the prison moon. Mara woke to a cold cell lit by a steady violet glow. Other humans, those captured during earlier skirmishes, occupied separate cages. Some wore military uniforms, others were civilians abducted from colonies. Everyone shared the same weary, haunted eyes. A guard approached her cell. Keth soldiers were massive, twice the height of humans, armored in living plates that pulsed with bioluminescent veins. Their movements were fluid, unnatural. "You will be processed for interrogation," the guard announced. "Prepare." That was the first day. Interrogation meant neural extraction, deep memory dives, each more painful than the last. Mara resisted, as all humans did, but the Keth were patient. They were conquerors refined by thousands of years of domination. To them, humans were fragile, defiant curiosities, yet something peculiar began to happen. Humans broke, yes, but far slower than expected. The Keth scientists were puzzled. Human neural pathways were adaptable, elastic. Most species subjected to Keth memory extraction deteriorated after 3 sessions. Humans endured 10, sometimes more. And their emotional responses, grief, guilt, anger, didn't seem to weaken them. They grew sharper, stronger. Some of the Keth were fascinated. Others were unnerved. One researcher, a quiet Keth named Vra'thuun, whispered to Mara during an examination, "You should not recover so quickly. It is unnatural. It's normal for us," she muttered through clenched teeth. "No, not normal. Dangerous." He never explained. Further. Third, the spark. The turning point wasn't a breakout or rebellion. It began with a conversation. Mara had met a soldier named Eric Dane across the cell corridor. He was a former engineer from Luna's orbital militia, a man with a scarred jaw and a talent for fixing almost anything. He was also stubborn, which made him dangerous in captivity. "We can't just sit here," he whispered during a guard rotation. "And what do you propose?" Mara replied, exhausted. "We're behind gravity lock bars on a moon crawling with an army." "Yeah, but have you noticed something?" "What?" "They're scared of us." Mara frowned. "No, they aren't. They are, Eric insisted. Not all of them, but some. The scientists, the guards. They watch us the way you'd watch a venomous animal in a small cage. Curious but careful. Mara had dismissed him at the time, but over the next weeks she saw it too. A guard flinched when a human prisoner shouted. A scientist hesitated before administering neural probes. An officer increased the number of drones monitoring their cells, even though none of the humans had attempted escape. Fear, not much, not open, but present. It made no sense, but the truth was coming. Fourth, the experiment, Vra'thuun, the quiet scientist, eventually requested Mara for a private evaluation. She expected another round of neural extraction. Instead, he asked her a question. Do humans dream? Mara blinked. What? Of course. What do you dream of? Home, she answered softly. Sometimes, monsters. Are the monsters Keth? She hesitated. Sometimes. Vra'thuun tapped his data panel. Even your nightmares regenerate you. This is fascinating. He gestured to a display. Mara recognized the brain scan. Her brain. You experience fear differently than most species, he continued. Your neurological responses do not collapse under extreme stress. They reorganize, become efficient, focused. Fear improves you. That's not a compliment, Mara muttered. It is a warning, Vra'thuun said. Not to you, to us. Before she could ask more, alarms blared through the facility. The ground shook violently. The scream of atmospheric burners reverberated overhead. Vra'thuun stiffened. No, it is too soon. What's happening? Mara demanded. The fleet, Vra'thuun murmured. Your fleet. Fifth they came, anyway. Humanity had received the distress beacon from the Eos, though Mara never expected a rescue. Earth's combined fleet was modest compared to the Keth. A frontal assault on a Dominion prison moon was suicide, but they came anyway. The battle lit the sky like a star going nova. Human cruisers swarmed the Keth blockade, weaving through enemy fire with desperate intensity. Even when vessels fell in flames, others surged forward. Vra'thuun stared in disbelief as he monitored the carnage. They should not fight this way. Mara seized the moment. She grabbed a dropped blast baton, overpowered the stunned scientist, and raced into the corridor. Prisoners across the ward saw her, and the spark became fire. Dozens of humans stormed out, unarmed but furious. The Keth guards, towering and armed with plasma rifles, aimed to subdue. But something unexpected happened. The humans kept coming, even shot. Some continued moving, even wounded. Some dragged others to safety. Even dying, some crawled forward to reach a dropped weapon. The Keth had expected fear to break them. Instead, fear became something else. Fuel. Mara slammed the baton against a control panel, releasing hundreds more prisoners. The moon became a battleground of improvised weapons, stolen rifles, and raw desperation. By the time human fleet Admiral Reyes landed with ground teams, they found the prisoners not cowering, but fighting. 6. The retreat. Word of the humans' counterattack spread through the Keth ranks, with a force more devastating than any weapon. Reports came from multiple fronts. 3 humans overwhelmed an entire platoon. They do not yield when injured. Their morale increases when outnumbered. They fight like creatures possessed, to the Keth, who value discipline, logic, and controlled warfare. This was unthinkable. War was a function, a procedure, a predictable calculation. But humans broke calculations. Vra'thuun ordered tactical withdrawal, not because the humans were stronger, but because they were unpredictable. And unpredictability is the one enemy no empire can prepare for. The prison moon fell. Mara was evacuated in critical condition along with the others. The fleet withdrew before Keth reinforcements could regroup. It should have ended there, but didn't. 7th, the interrogation of Vra'thuun, the Keth commander's admission, we could not stop them, was recorded months later during a summit with ambassadors from the Interstellar Council. The Dominion sought political leverage, perhaps even sympathy. After suffering a humiliation they refused to acknowledge publicly. Councillor Nyrak prompted cautiously. Commander, clarify your statement. Humans are few in number. Their military power is negligible. What prevented you from crushing them? Vra'thuun's eyes burned with a troubled glow. You misunderstand, he rumbled. Strength is not the issue. Enlighten us, Nirak pressed. The alien commander leaned forward. Humans break rules. Their minds do not accept the logic of defeat. They fight past injury, terror, and hopelessness. Their greatest weapon is not their technology. It is the refusal to die according to expectation. A silence fell across the chamber. In every species we have conquered, Vra'thuun continued, fear corrodes resolve. It weakens morale. It enforces submission. And humans? The counselor asked. Fear focuses them. Pain motivates them. Loss ignites them. He paused, struggling with the admission. They are few, he repeated softly. But that is irrelevant. One human fights like 5 of ours. 100 fight like an army. And if they believe they are defending something precious, family, home, freedom. He exhaled sharply. Then even we cannot stand against them. Ate the truth underneath. But that wasn't the whole truth. Because after the battle, after Mara recovered, she visited the tactical archives of the human fleet. She wanted to understand why the fleet had come for a small science vessel like the EOs. The answer was simple. Because she was out there. Because any human was out there. Humanity had a flaw. One that terrified the Keth even more. Humans didn't abandon their own. They crossed impossible distances, risked impossible odds, and broke unbreakable rules. All for a handful of prisoners. A species that dangerous wasn't defined by strength. They were defined by allegiance. A unity forged not by empire but by connection. Mara found Admiral Reyes reviewing footage of the battle. You should have left us, she said quietly. It was too costly. Reyes shook her head. If we start doing the math on who's worth saving, we're no better than the Keth. Mara lowered her gaze. They're afraid of us. Good, Reyes said. Fear will keep them from trying this again. 9th of Future rewritten. The Interstellar Council issued a directive months later, acknowledging humanity as an emergent power. Smaller species, long bullied by the Keth, began seeking alliances with Earth, not because of the size of humanity's fleets, not because of superior weapons, but because of something far rarer. The Keth were a civilization of conquerors. Humanity was a civilization of survivors, and survivors reshape the galaxy. Mara returned to a rebuilt Eos. A new mission awaited: establish peaceful relations with species once too frightened to seek help. But she carried Erluan's warning with her always. Your fear makes you dangerous. It was true. It also made them unstoppable. 10th Epilogue, the final recording. Vra'thuun's full message was eventually declassified. The last lines circulated widely through the networks of dozens of species, some hopeful, some fearful. Beware the humans. They are few. Their worlds are scattered. Their ships are primitive. But if you threaten them, you invite a force unlike any other. They do not fight with strength. They fight with purpose. And in the face of purpose, even empires fall. The galaxy listened. Some prepared, some trembled, and humanity, small, fragile, fierce humanity, simply kept moving forward. Because that is what they do. They survive, they fight, they adapt, and no matter how few they are, no one has ever learned how to stop them.